In this video, we're going to write our first line of code in Visual Studio. That's going to be print hello world. And then when we go into Unity and click play, in the console area of Unity, it will print hello world. This is a small but very significant step in making sure that our environment is set up correctly and Unity and Visual Studio are working correctly together. Let's start by talking briefly about how Unity and Visual Studio relate to one another. So Unity is our game engine. This is where we say what the behaviors are in our game and how all the pieces relate to one another and how it all looks and how it all shapes up and comes together. One of the pieces that we use in Unity is our code, and our code is written in files that are .cs files. These are also called scripts, and they're a bunch of text that say what are the rules and behaviors of the things that we want to have happen in our game. And the place that we write these scripts is in Visual Studio. Visual Studio is an IDE, that's an integrated developer environment, and it gives us a whole lot of structure and tools to make our life easier and to avoid making mistakes. So if you're a Mac user, this is a good time to point out that there's really not a lot of differences between Mac and PC when it comes to Unity and Visual Studio, but in the next video, Ben is going to go through those differences so it's really clear what you're looking at and how it relates and how it differs from what we're seeing on the PC. So let's go ahead and create our first script and use Visual Studio to make a little bit of magic in Unity. So let's open up Unity Hub. For you, after you downloaded it, it might have a shortcut on your desktop, or you might need to navigate to it through your program menu. When you open that up, you can see I've got a bunch of projects in here. If this is the first time you're using Hub, then yours is probably empty. And you want to make sure that under installs, you've got 2018 or later ready to go. So from any of these tabs up here, click on New. And that will allow us to create a new project. And it's going to ask us where we want to save that. Let me just show you my directory here where I've put that, and then we can see exactly what's going on in here. So for me, I've created under my D drive, so just any of your drives, so I've got a D drive here, I've created a folder called repos, which is short for the terminology repositories, which is something that'll be relevant later on in the course when we look at source control. And then within repos, I've created Unity 2D, which is where all of the projects from this course are going to go, and the first section we're working on is intro setup. So I encourage you to do a similar structure, have a repos directory with our Unity 2D course, and then for this particular section it's intro and setup, ready and raring there. So when we go into start our new project, we click on the three little dots to the right of location down here, and that will allow us to go and choose where we want to set that up. Go to data, or data, depending upon where you're from, repos, and then Unity 2D, and then intro setup. So I'm going to just click on that once, and select project, and that will use that as our project location. Now it's really important to know that a Unity project is a folder with a set of directories and a set of files within inside it. When we start a project, it's not just one file, it's a whole bunch of files. We're going to call the project name here, we'll call this Hello World, as all good programming first steps should be, a hello world, and under template we're going to select 2D, and then click Create Project. There might be a little bit of loading, a little bit of setup, a little bit of importing, particularly if it's the first time, so bear with that. It should do all of that automatically, and then we will be into the engine. Okay, so that's started up our project. Let's just have a quick look in our directory to see what happened there under Intro Setup. We now have a Hello World folder. I've got a couple of other things in here that you won't have yet because I've put them in, but the important thing is to see that we've got a Hello World. Within that, there's a whole bunch of folders that Unity's created for us, including the Assets folder, and that's where all of our information, all of our game assets and artwork and scripts, everything is going to go into Assets, so that's been created for us. If your layout looks different to mine, you can come up to the top right here where it says Layout, click on that button and find Default, and you click on Default. That should default everything back to the default Windows layout, so it should look the same as what I have here. So from anywhere down in this Assets area down here, right-click, go up to Create, and then find C# script. Click on that, and you'll see it creates a script. Now, important message, we want to start typing straight away the name of our script. Don't click anywhere else and don't hit enter, because if you do that, you'll accidentally create this file with the default name. And if we create it with the default name, when we go and rename it in a moment, it will cause some issues and some errors. So you want to make sure that while the script name is still highlighted and blue, that you start typing straight away. We're going to change the name of this to Hello World, no spaces. And I've put capital H and capital W. And you know you've created your script correctly if the name underneath the script here matches the name we see over in the inspector. You can see public class Hello World. So if it's Hello World there and Hello World under your script, success, we're ready to go. If they're different, Unity is going to be a bit upset and you'll need to delete your script and start that process again. So let's double click on Hello World. It'll open up Visual Studio. There might be a little bit of initial setup and initial loading. Okay, and there's a lot going on here. There's a few things we don't need. So I'm going to close over here my Solution Explorer, just X out on that, and my Team Explorer and Properties. All of those things we don't need at the moment, so I'm going to close that out. So the script that we created over here in Unity already comes with a bunch of text, a bunch of information on it. We're not going to go into the details of that yet. I promise you we'll get into all of that, and in no time you'll understand everything that's going on within here. But for now, we're just going to get our hands dirty by writing a line of code. So I want you to click on line number 9, click in there underneath start, where it says void start, and just follow along with me here. We're going to get our hands dirty, write our first line of code. We're going to type print, and then after that we're going to type open brackets or open parentheses, and then quotation mark, and you can see, because we're in our best friend of Visual Studio, it knows what we want to do. It's already given us a closed bracket and a closed quotation mark, and it's already giving us some information down here saying, hey, you might want to know this, and hey, this might be useful. This is great stuff. Over time, you'll recognize that, and you'll see it as fantastic. For now, don't worry about all that information coming up. We're going to finish typing in here. We'll type hello world, and then down the end of our statement here, we need to type a semicolon. And you can see when we did that, the little squiggly red line went away. I'll do that one more time. When we've got no semicolon, there's a squiggly red line saying, and if you mouse over that, you can see semicolon expected. So this is our best buddy Visual Studio trying to help us out here, saying, I really think you should put a semicolon there. Yes, we do need to do one of those. Okay, then when I hit save, and you can see the little star that was up here went away, and we have a green line that appears to say that we have saved our script. Now back over into Unity, this is the script we're working on. It's been saved. Now there's one last step we need to do. Our script just sitting on its own isn't doing anything. We need to bring it into our world by attaching it to a game object. And the only game object we've got is our camera. So if your sample scene has closed, you can click the little arrow next to it. That'll open it up to show all of the things in the hierarchy underneath sample scene. And you can see we have main camera. That's our game object, our only game object at the moment. So we're going to drag our Hello World script onto our main camera up the top here. We could have also dragged it over here into the inspector while we are selected on main camera. Either of those ways would have served the same purpose. You can see now, when clicked on main camera within the inspector, we've got our Hello World script there. If you come up to the top and click the play button, and open up the console here. We haven't talked about the console yet. The console is what allows us to see the messages and the information, allows us to debug our game. It's a great place to print things out. You can see Hello World is written right in there. Success, we have created our first line of code. Now I have a challenge for you. What I would like you to do is to print hello your name. So to modify our Hello World code, instead of printing out Hello World, I'd like it to print out your name. And obviously, it wouldn't say your name. It would say Hello Rick or Hello Fred or Hello Bob, whatever your name might be. So pause the video now, go into the script, change from Hello World to Hello Your Name, save, and then go back into Unity and click play and see that it types Hello Your Name. And after you do that, come back to the video and play the video again, and I will show you my approach to doing that as well, and we can finish off this exercise together. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, welcome back. We make sure we click out of play mode. I'd left ourselves in play mode, and I really hope that you did that challenge. I'm going to ask you to do a challenge in each lecture in this course, and it's super, super important that you jump in and take on these challenges. Okay, so I'm back over in Visual Studio here, and you can see our statement, print hello world. I'm just going to hop in here and change this to hello Rick, and then hit save. Back over into Unity. We don't need to attach it to the main camera again because it's already attached there. If we click on the main camera, you can see hello world. It's been updated because we've saved it. And then when I click play, you should see hello Rick down here. And this really was a quick exercise to make sure that our environment is set up correctly. In the next section of the course, Number Wizard will be looking at all the things that we went over very quickly here about the inspector, about the layout in terms of just things like semicolons, why are we doing them? So all of that information we'll be covering in great detail in the next section of the course. But the very next video, Ben's going to be talking about Mac differences. If you're a Mac person, that's a great video to watch. If not, you can skip that video and go on to the next video in the course. Great work, and I'll see you again soon.